CPI quickening more than expected to 4.6% year-on-year on a month-on-month basis. It was expected to hold steady. We've seen it quicken to 0.5%. Surely not that surprising that this rise has come through and confirming what we all already know.
No, we already know that the days of low interest rates are gone, and therefore inflation is start picking up, and it's picking up much more rapidly than we expected, and we expect the Reserve Bank to act accordingly, at least by the third quarter, latest in the last meeting in November, to hike by 50 basis points, because they need to assert their independence, given what we saw with Walmart, where there was some interference by government, and we want the Reserve Bank to really uphold that independence. It was quite critical for us, given the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty policy-wise, particularly in the mining sector. Want to make sure that our institutions remain intact, so that we can be able to market the country much more effectively. That listen to the noise, however, look at the institutions. They're still functioning, they're independent, they do what's good for the country.
So you're anticipating a rate hike sooner rather than later?
Very much, very much. And I think it's very important for the Reserve Bank to be preemptive in the sense of sending that signal of independence, but more importantly, that the days of low interest rate are gone, and we must brace ourselves for high interest rate. We've seen what's happened in India. In India, they're already up. So all emerging markets really have to move up, so that as the rebalancing continues, and we see the Chinese also moving to try and take other assets outside the treasury bills of the USA, and therefore really moving towards a stability where not only will the Chinese be exposed to American treasuries, but also to other instruments in India and South Africa and Brazil and elsewhere.
Of course, lending to that, or emphasizing what the SARB's chief economist said yesterday, reiterating that they won't move on cost pressures alone, that there's a whole host of factors that they'd have to consider. Having said that, let's take a look at risks to the inflation scenario as we move forward, because rising commodity prices with administered prices are expected to see inflation peak at 6.3% in the first quarter of next year. Are you in line with that expectation?
I'm in line with that. That's why I want the preemptive. I'm really...
We can see that. Hopefully we've got some representatives from the SARB listening. Let's take a look at what this means, though, for the growth scenario, because we saw some encouraging growth data filter through in the SARB's quarterly bulletin yesterday, but we're still very far off from getting growth steadily back on track.
Well, we're not going to get growth, sustainable growth above 6% for a long, long time. Here we need really leadership. Leadership that can walk the walk, not only with the political party, but with the business, with civil society, and the broader South African community. That's why for me it was very exciting when the National Planning Commission came out with those 9 points that need serious attention by South African leadership. So if we all gonna act together and unite, I think possibly we can start punching at the level we're supposed to punch. At the moment, we're punching far below because of the political uncertainty, as well as lack of leadership in wooing business and making sure that business is given a lot of long-termism in terms of them investing in extending capacity. We just heard now our CEO from Kitchen Energy was quite clear that it's very, very difficult to attract new investment to this country. So without that, you're unlikely to grow above 5%. You're unlikely to see a new industrial capacity, no matter how much cheap money you put on the table. That you're not going to see.
What is your growth target for this year?
We're looking at about 4.2% at the IDC. However, as I've been saying, we can do far better. But we need strong leadership. We need people ganging around the National Planning Commission, making sure that we now come out in November with a shared vision where all of us, no matter who is in power, who wins the election, the ANC in 2012, that all of us rally around a new vision for the country. We rally around policies, not policies that will change when there's a new government in 2015, but policies that define South Africa, that define who we are, how we plan to alleviate unemployment, to address poverty and inequality by 2050, as we walk the walk towards sustainable, deterministic future, which everyone buys into, not at the moment, as you see.
Let's hone in into that employment situation, because we've seen slight improvement coming through there, but still government a large player in facilitating that, and that to a large extent, because a private sector is tied to the economic growth story and the prospects that we see there. What should we be doing to raise that employment figure in the country?
Critically, I mean, government has talked very loud around investment infrastructure. But that investment infrastructure must be followed by government putting its money where its mouth is. We have companies here who are contracted to build either Gautrain or some stadium, who, because their project change, the government hasn't played its part by meeting and paying those companies. And you've seen those companies that are listed in fair, their share prices going down. And therefore, that signal is very critical. If you are in government, you want growth, you must send a signal that you see business as a partner, and when you see business as a partner, when there's an agreement, you honor your agreement. And therefore, that signal of investing on infrastructure is a very positive one, but must be followed by action in terms of bringing in that partnership. And with that partnership, then we can see that growth going forward. But more importantly, we need just one voice. For me, just that's too much noise. I want one voice, and I think many business people want one voice, and many unemployed South Africans want a vision, want a commitment, want a long-term agenda. And once we have that, we've seen with our competitors, India, Brazil, they've got leadership that is steadfast, that's got a plan in China, a 30-year, 50-year, 100-year plan. We don't have that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm very happy with the National Planning Commission, that I hope they do work very, very hard. They galvanize the support, and we build that vision, we build a long-term agenda.
Looking at that long-term agenda, I mean, we had the current account deficit figure come in yesterday, widening to 3.1%. Bulk of the market is not too concerned about the fact that we've seen a widening there, especially if you consider that we might be seeing some restocking taking place with the strong currency. And I was speaking to a trader this morning saying that potentially putting us in a stronger position 12 to 18 months down the line.
It puts us in a very strong position. However, we all know that position is mainly state-owned enterprises. It is Eskom ordering turbines, it is Transnet ordering locomotives, etc. We want private sector. We want a new capacity, which is very critical for us. The labor creator in South Africa, employment creator in South Africa, will remain for many, many years to come business. And that's the part that I think in the new growth path and in all what we hear from government is missing. We need government saying, you know what, these are our partners. These are the guys that will make sure that we have unemployment by 2014. We can't do it alone. And I'm not getting that. I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing people say that we shall grab, we shall own, we shall drive. That's not going to work. That is not going to be able to get you out of jail. For us to get out of jail, we need the private sector, and they need to believe the story. We need to, all of us, as business, as labor, to sell one story, a South African story, a story that can bring investment in this country, that can incentivize business to invest and commit to long-term agenda.